Good evening and welcome to this virtual Guardian live event. My name is Yomi Adegoke. I'm a Guardian columnist and also an author. And I'll be your chair for the next 60 minutes together with our brilliant guest speakers who today will be talking about how they use their art as a form of social commentary and to bring about positive change. So before we start, I will address an elephant in the room, which is that the room is largely empty. We are very lucky to be on stage together, and we also appreciate that that's not the case for everyone else. So please do enjoy the show remotely and make sure that you let us know if you're enjoying this evening's event through the Q&A box on your screen. Some of you guys have already set questions in advance for our brilliant speakers. Thanks very much for doing that. If you haven't already, please do use the Q&A box and we'll try to get through as many questions as possible in the second half. So I would now like to introduce our first guest, which is the brilliant rapper Ghetts, an original pioneer in the UK's grime and rap scene. Ghetts' brilliant career began in the early noughties, I remember it very well, with the grime collective Nasty Crew. After creating his own collective and subsequently going solo, his 2014 debut studio release, Rebel the Cause, earned him 3 MOBO nominations. His latest album, Conflict of Interest, is a chronological exploration of his life, his relationships, his career, and it has been widely acclaimed and deservedly so. Hi, Ghetts. How are you today?
That intro was cold. Thank you.
No, well, I mean, it's deserved. It's true. It's all true. Secondly, I would like to introduce the excellent photographer and cultural commentator, Misan Harriman. In September 2020, Misan made history when he became the first black person in Vogue's 104-year history to shoot its cover. I'm going to go off script for a minute. That is insane. Misan's work and his photography, it's universally recognized, from the Sussex's candid baby announcement to one of the most iconic images from the Black Lives Matter protests. He is self-taught and is known for being an outspoken activist and was recently appointed chair of the South Bank Centre. Hi, Misan, how are you doing today?
What's up?
And big congratulations on the new role.
Thank you.
I am very much looking forward to this chat. So I'm just going to dive right in because I know that this is a conversation that can definitely roll on. So you both have quite unusual paths into your careers. Misan, I mean, I didn't actually realize that you only took up photography 4 years ago. Can you tell me a little bit about breaking into the industry and especially take me back into those initial first years before the come up?
I think my life, in terms of my creative life, is a lesson of what it means to finally take that road less traveled. I failed almost every exam I ever took. I'm heavily dyslexic, neurodiverse in how my mind works. And for a long time, I didn't respect any possibility to do anything beyond the average with my mind, until my wife bought me a camera. And she was like, listen, I'm sick and tired of you talking about everyone else. You have stories to tell. And the beautiful thing about this age of connectivity is that I struggle in classrooms. I don't like, I find it very slow, but with the internet, I could just give myself inputs and inputs and inputs and fail and fail and fail, and then get better and get better. And then I had babies. So I had an endless, stream of opportunities to capture very difficult subjects to shoot. And the combination of that moment helped me become an above-average photographer. The other thing is that I am an absolute anorak, obsessed with film photography. And my eye was training itself throughout my life. The tool was put into my hands 4 years ago. And as they say, the rest is history.
Thank you so much, Misan. Ghetts, what made you decide to turn to music, and how did you find that path? Especially because during the time that you were starting, it seemed like everybody was on the music thing in the early days. So how did you decide to stick it out?
When I look back now, it's like the journey started before that, but I guess to everyone else, it would have started at that point. That pirate radio debut, 2003, with Nasty Crew and so on. But looking back, like, just little moments, just being in church all the time, or just being from that environment, or dad being able to play keys, same with my gran, and now my little brother. Yeah, man, it's just like every situation, you know, when I think it's not something I'm meant to do, I just trail it back in my head, like, yeah, but that, what was that for? Then that happened, and that led you to that, then that led you to that, and then, you know? So I guess it's just a series of different events, that beautiful events, and some not so beautiful, but all in the journey beautiful, you know? So, yeah.
Were you always, I mean, you said that there have been moments where you've questioned it and then you've been able to see, like, no, it's
I'll
actually
question
meant to
it
be.
right now.
Yeah, on the stage.
I'll question it.
But I suppose, when did you make that realization that this was for you and it was something that you needed to stick out?
Really related to what Misan said about struggling with exams and things like that. I always felt like if it's something to do with that realm, there's nothing I'm going to be able to do. You know what I'm saying? So when he said that, I felt that. And then comes a music course, you know what I'm saying? And then I've realised I'm in a classroom, but I'm not moving like I'm in a classroom. Not that I would do these things on purpose, but I'll just lose attention fast. This is, you know what I'm saying? And then I'm realising this thing's holding my attention, whatever it is, but this is an unusual feeling for me. So I enjoy it, I come back, I'm going back. And then I've been blessed to be from Newham and have, like, childhood friends that are inspirational people and icons, but these are just people I grew up with. So I remember just even ringing a few friends and just asking for advice on what I should do when I was ready to make my move and so on. And yeah, and I just took that advice and kind of ran with it.
Thank you so much, Ghetts. Misan, you changed to photography from a career in the city, and that's quite like a jump. How was that journey from one to the other?
Before we even get there, this man here invited me to shoot his whole process in a big production that he was doing. And I think seeing Ghetts do his thing, music videos and, you know, high produced stuff is one thing. But when you see an artist stripped to just a man and a microphone, the band aren't there, they're still getting ready, and I watched you prepare. It's as if there was no one else there, mate. You know, and you see that chuckle? Because it was really, I felt like, oh God, maybe we should all just get out.
That's cool. You're still there.
You know?
I just see it there.
It's very, very powerful. And it's something that you probably take for granted because this is what you're supposed to do. But for us mere mortals watching it, it's an honor.
No, I appreciate that, man. Even you coming down that day.
And I made him look sexy.
Hard. Nice.
Drip.
Hard. You ain't seen it yet. You ain't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it yet.
Legendary,
but I know I'm doing afterwards.
You know what kind of legendary it is? It's still ones there where I look at the photos, I think, I can't even just leave this on Insta like this. This needs an announcement.
Sorry, we digress.
Okay, no, but it was a brilliant digression. City, career.
Yeah, look, society programs you. You know, I'm from a traditional Niger family. You're Niger? Doctor, lawyer, music, photo what? And, you know, that's born out of love.
Yeah.
Because our parents and our parents' parents never saw a world where people that look like us are going to be neurologists. So why should they kill themselves giving us a shot? And we are going to try and sing and dance, right? So I went down the road and I was in recruitment in the city and it was okay. But after a while, it wasn't okay because everything within my inner soul was dying. And I could either make some decent money and die inside or take a real risk and walk into that dark room. And it took a while. I was 40 when I had the bravery to open the door and walk through. I was pushed through, actually, by people like Edward Enningful.
Incredible. Thank you so much.
That's crazy, though. Like, That's what I'm saying. That's just testament to, you know, people that feel like it's over, it's all finished, it's done. You're testament to it's never done.
Never.
The mind's a powerful thing in terms of what you can achieve and create within your life is never actually over. You know what I'm saying? I said the same thing to Rooney's gran. When she done the Grime thing, I felt, like, imagine that. You get, how lucky are you? You live your whole life and then get another lease of life all them years later. Crazy. Crazy thing, man. Wicked, man. Really inspirational, man.
Thanks, man.
So when it comes to getting more, I mean, because you've both kind of touched on your difficulties in the classroom as young, like, black men trying to navigate that space and feeling like it wasn't for you. So how do we get more young men that aren't necessarily thriving in the traditional sense of education into the creative industries? How do we inspire them to be able to take that leap that potentially our parents weren't able to take?
Sorry to cut you. I feel like on a whole, the system needs to look at the curriculum. You know, I feel like there's one teaching style and it's meant to be for everyone. It's just like one style though, like, you know what I'm saying? So somebody that they may benefit from that style, and then there's other people like myself and Misan that will not benefit from that. We don't find that engaging. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people put this tag or label on children, naughty, bad, and sometimes you just find that the child's not engaged. As soon as you do something with a child that's quite engaging, you can see the whole behaviour pattern change immediately, and that's just because that child was not engaged in that style or that format, you know?
Absolutely. So.
Ghetts spelt it out, literally. I mean, and what I add to what he said is race, you know? It's one thing being not engaged, is another thing not seeing anyone that looks like you and anything that you may be. You may want to be a poet. How many poets look like you, you know? You may want to get into classical music, you know? You know, with my chair role at South Bank, I had the pleasure of going to see the Chineke Orchestra, a predominantly black orchestra. I never saw that growing up. The only people I saw in classical music, and they were amazing, were white. So why would I ever think I could have a chance in that world? And then, as you said, the actual educational system needs to understand that there is nuance in every child's mind. And if I think of my own mind, I thought that my mind was broken and was embarrassed to share it with anyone, let alone the world. And the truth is, you know, I'm so dyslexic that if I write either of you an email, every other word I miss. Now, when I was at school, I was so ashamed that I would just retract and end up getting the worst grades. But now with technology, I use something called Grammarly. I don't work for Grammarly. But it's amazing. It's like a deep spell check, and it helps me. It gives me confidence to write. And that's just a tiny little thing that, you know, just looking at the nuance of a little girl or little boy and saying, okay, they're different. How can we mold that differentness into something uniquely powerful?
Thank you. So I want to touch on the notion of your art being used for social commentary, specifically Black Lives Matter. I'm interested, Misan, in how that has affected your work. And I guess I'm also interested in now, you know, a year and a bit post the protests, the momentum that was gained last year in terms of, you know, black art being more visible than it was before. How do we ensure that it's not a trend and is something that is sustained?
For some people, it will be a trend.
Yeah.
There are plenty of companies that I speak to every other day that it's just a token. We want to pretend that we give a damn. We need to, you know, say that we have a new diversity push. But then again, there are industries and people within the industries that are forcing change. I would never have got the shot that I got if Edward Enninful, who is a black man, right, didn't have two things, the lived experience, right, and the power. The power needs to be there. He is the editor-in-chief of the magazine. He doesn't need to ask anyone any permission. And he gave me, a then unknown photographer in the fashion world, the biggest cover in a generation. Do you know what it takes to do that? I mean, that's a very, very risky thing to do. But he was at the top, and he made the decision because he thought that with merit, I could pull it off. So it has to be CEOs, shareholders, HR policy, to have diverse voices, more women, disabled people, neurodiverse people, black people, and I think we'll find real change. There can't be real change if the whole board is 55 to 65-year-old white men that are, because they don't, even if they had the best will in the world, they won't have that lived experience that you have when you walk outside and you put your hand out and 7 black cabs will drive past you. That's never going to happen to them. I'm just saying.
Thank you, Misan. Ghetts, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Repeat the question for me. I was thinking about something he said. I was in deep thought. That was deep, boy.
No worries, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So I suppose in terms of it being a year and a bit post Black Lives Matter, black art is more prominent than it has been, especially black in Britain, essentially. How do we ensure that it's something that's sustained beyond it being a trend or something that brands are just doing right now to look as though they are, you know, engaged?
I don't know, man. People are people, innit? And a lot of times, as you know, is the industry we're in. It's a numbers game, it's an attention game, so that's just the way it goes. People are going to do what people do, and you know what I'm saying? I ain't got much faith in, like, trying to change anything. I'm just more focused on, like, just building and moving forward and not expecting anybody to change something for me. Like, you never had, like, you see, like, when everyone's protesting and that, I'm not against the protest. I get it. People are getting together for a cause. Do you understand? A lot of people are seeing things around the world that are pulling on their heartstrings. They're linking up. I understand that. But see, like, this marching and, like, you've gone down there and you've had your voice heard. Cool. Like, it's not going to change, you know what I'm saying?
Interesting.
Like, that's how I feel. I feel like Martin Luther King, he marched. He went the hardest. No one went harder than Martin. You know what I'm saying? And we know how that kind of ended. And like, like, when people are asking for change, who are you begging? Like, your oppressors. So we're saying in one breath, these are our oppressors. We're saying in one breath, these men have got me kidnapped. Da-da-da-da-da, and then we're going to say, allow me, please, I've had enough. Allow me. Like, it's mad when I put it like this, isn't it? Like, when I put it like that, it's mad, isn't it? But that's the basics of what's happening. Like, you know what? You've had your foot on your neck. Please, allow me. Like, allow me.
So you're not massively optimistic, essentially, in terms of, let's say, the past year. You don't think that much has changed? Let's talk in the art space as well. You don't think that much has changed?
My general knowledge on this subject might lead me into saying the wrong thing.
I want to say this is a safe space, but at the same time.
So I'm going to lie, but yeah, that's how I look at it sometimes.
What is your opinion?
I'm not asking you to move your foot, you know. I'm going to move your foot. Like, I'm not asking to,
okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Thank you so much. So, would you guys say, let me start this with you, Misan, as someone who actually, you know, as you said, you took up photography recently, technically speaking. Would you say in those 4 years, the response to your work has changed? And if so, how?
Well, in the year, you know, today is a year today that I photographed a young woman called Darcy Bourne stood outside the US Embassy saying, why is racism still a debate? That sign. 24 hours later, the son of Martin Luther King himself posted the image. And I think one of the things about this age that our parents didn't have is the internet. Everyone complains about the internet, but it is a weapon that can give some kind of change. Because in the old days, you would be like, oh, I'm not happy about this, but I'm not going to do anything about it because I think I'm the only one. Whereas now, you can see that there is a collective voice.
That's a good point.
You know, it does give that, and it can be a scary thing. A great example is Marcus Rashford. He's a footballer, right? His professional job is to be an elite athlete. But he had this thing called empathy, and he had the lived experience And you never forget going hungry as a kid. It's not possible, right? And he somehow managed to, through the internet, again, galvanize the nation, of which $300 million came from the government to support hungry children. And I think that's where we look at our weapons. And, you know, Ghetts, your platform, you don't even have to be an activist because you are revolutionary in nature. If you look at the boys and girls that listen to your music, that's it. You just keep doing what you're doing, you know, because they need that. It's their oxygen. It's really, really tough being young right now. They don't have the same job prospects as us, right? Half of them aren't even getting the rites of passage of even taking an exam or graduating. You know, music is much more than just a little thing that they do. So that is it for you. You know, it's the oxygen. That's my view anyway.
For sure.
Thank you.
For sure.
And Ghetts, I mean, the responses to grime music in particular over the past few years have definitely changed since I was growing up. I never imagined that it would be something that is so embedded in the mainstream and enjoyed by everybody. How would you say that you've been affected by the change? How do you feel about where grime is today and the music that you're making?
I feel like an oracle, because I knew, I always used to do this thing, yeah. Like, so coming up, I wouldn't say, they would say that we're the generation that built, but I wouldn't disrespect to Heartless Crew or Page Go or London Pussy or many people that I was aware before me, Klanashnikos, and you know what I'm saying? It's just that the way things were after the people I mentioned, after they reigned, my generation had to rebuild because a lot of dismantling was going on. So that's why they call us like the building generation or whatever. But yeah, I remember having different conversations about everyone always used to look at America without having an understanding of America's musical history. Like they used to just look at America and see chain, Lamborghini, Ferrari, this, that, and they used to speak out of term without knowing, okay, it took how many years to get to that point. I don't know if you guys, maybe they wasn't, maybe they became accustomed to it from the Jay-Z era and not the Big Daddy Kanes and what was before that, but I was a bit more, like I knew. So I always used to look at it and be like, okay, where are we? I used to work it out in the attack, like, where are we? Who's he? Who's that then? And because that was the only people I could look at, otherwise it was going to be S Club 7, you know what I'm saying? Those are the only people I could look at, not even on no disrespect, but those are the people that I used to look at and feel I could relate, even though they were so far away. Like the dress, the speech, the swag, like I just felt like I could relate, right? So yeah, I just used to do that, and I used to say, yeah, this thing's gonna go mad. But I thought I was right, because I said there'll be a couple man from man's generation, but it ain't really gonna be man's generation like that. It's more gonna be like we're building, and then every time with every generation from us, it's gonna get bigger. It's gonna get better because of the way we're carrying ourselves and how we're moving. We're doing our own shows, pressing our own stuff, going to get our own distribution deals. So while people was just looking at America, they wasn't understand. We was getting things in order. We was moving the right way and setting up. So yeah, I knew it would get to this point.
Thank you, Ghetts. And I want to talk to you both about working during this past year, which has obviously been very difficult. Ghetts, I want to speak to you first about your album. And we were talking earlier about you being like a people person, someone who likes to be out, and how difficult this past year has been. Yeah, what has it been like, and how have you kind of navigated it?
The first lockdown was beautiful because it come out of nowhere. It gave you time to chill and think and just appreciate some things you might not have been appreciating properly at the top of your list. So that bit was nice. Then it started to drag. And so I was like, no, I need to get back to work. And obviously with releasing the album, it's not something that me and my team ever wanted to push back, but we just knew that it would have to be all hands on deck and just thinking very much outside of the box in order to promote this album that's going to be coming out in a pandemic, because obviously you could do pop-up shows normally and little things here and there, go up the country, signing in HMVs, but these are things that we wasn't able to do, so we kind of had to think out of the box. Big up Daniel, Tank, you know what I'm saying, and little things he was doing around town. But yeah, it was sick. And I feel like the campaign alone, like, upped. Like, everyone, you see what happens? People come out and they set levels. So, like, anyone who's anybody, they come out. When they come out, whether it's an album or campaign, they come out and set levels and then push everyone else. Like, did you see what my man did? So then you got to go here. And then I feel like with the campaign that we did, everything you've seen after that, it's kind of been people giving it their all and not being shy of, you know what I'm saying? And going all the way here. So, yeah, it's great because I'm inspired on the back end of it. Like, okay, I got to go. I could go hard.
Misan, how's it been for you during this pandemic?
Lockdown.
Yeah.
I had my second baby.
Damn.
2 weeks into lockdown, which was pretty effing scary. It's not an ideal time to bring another life in when you think the world may be ending. But as Ghetts said, that first period actually as a father was extraordinary because I had so much time. And I think when you look at yourself as a parent, you can end up having a bird's eye view on who you must become. And I think in this moment that we've all had of self-reflection, of anxiety, of disappointment, we should have carved out the men and women that we must become. And although it's been the toughest 18 months of my life, no question, look at what's happened to me in the last year. I have to be thankful, but I also have to recognize the amount of pain that so many others have endured through loss of lives of COVID, through professional, I mean, I was just walking, I was in the Strand, every other restaurant's closed. I mean, closed, they're not coming back. And this thing has decimated so many of us. But it is in these moments that we rebuild and reset. And that's how I feel about the work, if you like. It has to be purposeful. It can't just be about making money. It can't just be about, wanting to be that person that you kind of dreamt of. We have to be bigger than that.
Bro, it's funny you're saying this, Lately, I've been feeling the same. Like, I had to stop going to the studio because I was like, what am I going to the studio for at this point? Like, what am I saying? What's the purpose behind the words? Because I just given birth. I just felt like I give birth. I just let the album go. All of my truths, worries, fears, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, I'm going to the studio and it's like, yeah, I can rap, yeah, good, but what is the purpose behind this? And that's what trust me, that's what I've been like. Boy, it's like, even I was thinking with my next album, I don't know, but I was like, you see with rap comes so much bravado, yeah? But there's so much trouble and trauma in the world, yeah? Like, how did Bob Marley look at the world and then say, no woman, no cry? Like, the song's not about him. It's not about, I made that, this is what I drive, this is where I live. No woman, no cry. I said, and that's what separates those type of artists from the rest of us. I immediately knew, it was like if something came over me, I thought, yeah, man's just rapping. Man are just saying stuff.
No, that's...
Man are not saying stuff. Man ain't trying to heal the world with music, bro. Look at the world, Justin. Look at the world. The world's burning.
I wish they're listening
What
now.
are you saying? Like, that's where I was like the other day. The world's burning. What are you saying, my guy? Like, what are we listening to? What's the frequency? You know what I'm saying? And it's funny you said that because that's where I've been, bro. I can't even go studio right now. And Danny will tell you, I'm a man that's in the studio 24/7. As long as we're productive, I go home, I'm good. But it's just like, it's not even enough at this point.
But did you think that at 21?
Nah, never.
Yeah.
Never.
It takes living, right? You've got to live your way to that stage, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks so much, guys. Reminder to the audience, I hope I'm looking in the right direction because I can't see a thing. If you want to ask a question, please use the Q&A function to the left of your screen to type it. You can use your name or you can, oh, thank you so much, there's a light. You can use your name or you can do this anonymously if you prefer. All right, guys, just before we get to the audience questions, I want to ask you what your both feeling most optimistic about in terms of creativity? You guys have, I mean, it goes without saying, hugely inspiring to many people, but specifically like young black men who didn't necessarily have these images growing up in terms of what they could be. So what are you excited about in terms of where we're moving as a culture in terms of creativity? Misan, can you start with that?
Well, look, I just became chair of the largest cultural institution in Europe, the South Bank Centre. It was set up 70 years ago, right, as a tonic for the nation, for the Festival of Britain. It's a place that is literally designed to be accessible for all, art and culture for all. And with so many free events, for me, I just want to make sure, because I'm very worried about the mental health ramifications of the 18 months we've all had. People are not okay, as number one. So if I can help harness this institution and allow people to let their minds take flight, then I'm very, very excited about that.
Thank you so much. Ghetts?
Yeah, man, I don't know. I just look forward to tomorrow. In general.
In this climate, that's fair enough.
In general, I'm just looking forward to tomorrow. Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. We are now moving on to audience questions. So this is for both of you. Maddie Mead has asked how you cope with embarrassing memories, failures, and mistakes that you've made along the way. Misan.
I mean, those are your successes. Those are the building blocks of success. I failed way more. I don't know about you guys. I failed way more than I've ever succeeded at anything.
100%.
You know, so that Maddie, if you're hearing me, that embarrassment is a fraud. Just remember that embarrassment is nothing to do with your ability to be your best self. You know, I've got bad knees, right? I was hobbling around Trafalgar Square, and all these young photographers were like doing the splits and running around. I was like, oh, you know, with my camera. But you know what? I just said, Miss Anne, the pictures you're going to take are going to come to you. Just take your time. Don't kill yourself. It's hot. You got babies. And I just took my own time. I took the pictures, and they weren't meant to be for a gabillion people to see them. They were just my way of dealing with the trauma that was unlocked by the murder of George Floyd. That's why I went. I didn't go out to be famous. I went out there because I just needed to do something. And my wife looked at me and she said, you have no more tears. Your well is dry. Take the camera. Look to the camera. And Maddie, whatever you are into, listen to that voice and ignore any idea of the word embarrassment being around you.
Thank you. Ghetts, how do you deal with it?
Yeah, I just embrace it. Well, I try to, at least, you know what I'm saying? It's just me, innit? You know what I'm saying? I can't. Yeah, just one day I just realized I just kind of felt, not fully at peace, but I just like, even the stupid moments, just like, that's me, innit? Like, what do you want me to do?
Is that something that's gotten easier for both of you with age? Is it something that you've become more comfortable with?
Yeah, for sure. For me anyway, like, yeah.
We all have imposter syndrome. We all have insecurities, right?
Yeah, 100%. I'm more sure of myself at this age, so I give less of a shit.
I think when you have kids as well, a lot of shit just doesn't matter anymore. You're like, you don't really care. It's like, you know, you excuse my language, but the babies help.
Thank you, guys. So this question from Arthur Reynolds is specifically for you, Ghetts. He says, first of all, congratulations on the album. He was wondering how long the whole process took from start to finish and how much you left off of the album. He also says he can't wait to hear more from you.
The process, I guess, what was my project before that? I haven't stopped recording. I done a run. This is how I work it out. I done a run from I think know my ting, one my take, know my ting, one take, done already. I just done a whole run into Ghetto Gospel New Testament. Ghetto Gospel New Testament. That project was 2018. Then kept working into that. So let's say from 2018 till now. Yeah. That's how long it took.
Wow, just consistently.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's when I'm saying I'm not going studio. It's actually strange. I've been going 17, 18 years. Yeah.
Wow.
I've been going studio nearly every day, all them years, like not without a shadow of a doubt. So even when I was kind of like depressed the first 4 days because I felt useless. It's like it's strange, isn't it? I'm not, you know what I'm saying? But yeah.
Wow. Well, when you start recording, I'm sure it's going to be something insane.
Hopefully.
God willing. Okay, so this is for you, Miss Anne, by Kyra Borella, who says, do you ever dislike photography? And if so, how do you overcome your creative fatigue?
I never dislike photography. There's a quote by a great photographer called Robert Frank that says the eye should learn to look before it listens. And I think photography for me has been a way for me to not have to hide from the realities of life. It has allowed me to steady myself and look at the picture of my newborn daughter who was premature and take that in because it was too traumatic at the time. It's allowed me to be in the middle of 5,000 people in Trafalgar Square and see a white boy in a wheelchair with all the complications he must have in his life, there, with his fist in the air, for people that look like you and you. I can never get bored of photography.
Thank you, Misan. Did you always realise, this is an anonymous question, did you always realise that your art could be used for positive change? Or was there a kind of moment where you were like, actually, this is something that can inspire people and create movements?
There was a moment. Like, my music before that was way harder, but I've always had substance, right? But it's just always just been hard. And then I remember some girl telling me about it. She's in university and the tune that I made, Test. These times I didn't even think people in university listen to me. And I just remember thinking, huh? What are you saying? That got you through your test? I'm all tapping the man. I'm like, yo, fam, hey, what's she saying? Like, we can't believe it. Yeah. So yeah, from then I thought, wow, it's like touching people from different walks of life. You know what I'm saying? If you just speak your truth, it doesn't matter. They can feel it. It's unspoken. You just feel it when you hear the words. You know, and that taught me a valuable lesson that day.
Thank you. Misan.
Was there a moment?
Yeah.
I would probably say when the pictures were put up on Piccadilly Circus, I went with my mates first initially, and that was nice, but I wanted to go again by myself. And I went really early in the morning. I didn't want anyone to recognize me. And I just stood there looking up at the pictures. And I look to my left, and there's a family, mainly red-haired. They all had red hair. And the daughter recognized me. She comes over. She goes, oh my God, you're the photographer? We've come from Scotland. And I brought my family here, but particularly my dad, who is racist. Exactly what she said to me.
Wow.
Exactly what she said to me.
That's what you really feel.
And I was like, okay. And she goes, do you want to meet them? So I walk over, and I see this quite working class Scottish family. And I see this big old man in tears. Absolutely just in tears. And the daughter then freezes because she didn't know he was crying. And he just walks up to her and he says, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't understand. Thank you for bringing me down. Okay. And he had been stood up there for 45 minutes looking at pictures that I had taken.
That's sad.
And that's when I thought, okay, maybe this can help.
Being privy to that moment must have been...
Yeah, I ugly cried on the Uber.
But this is what I'm saying, like, that moment was written. Like, she come down, she's from Scotland, she's come down, but she's met the man himself. That's not a coincidence. Do you get it?
Definitely.
Like, that ain't
This is when my mum would pull out her Bible.
That ain't a coincidence.
I'm not gonna lie.
It could have been at any other time.
Yeah, it's crazy. So Tom Bartlett has asked both of you guys how you see your various industries, so obviously photography for you, music for you, how do you see them changing in the future and what you would like to further accomplish in them?
I don't know. Music a bit scary because we're digesting it different from how we've been used to digesting it, which means we value it different. You know, just even that before, if your friends heard a tune and they was explaining to you about this tune, you might not hear it for a few hours, a few days. That timing alone made you value when you finally heard that song. So now if you've clocked, your attention span's very different from how it used to be, whether you're watching a film or whatever, you'd probably realise your attention span is shortened. So with all of these things changing and then the state of consciousness also changing, it's a very scary time for music, like where it's going to be at and what people can actually hear and digest. You know what I'm saying? And most of it's not going to be food for thought. So very, very, very scary time for music, indeed. You know, especially with the playlists, which there are pros and cons like anything else, you know what I'm saying? But what I find with playlists sometimes is that now you're going to create a generation of artists that make a type of song to fit into a playlist. Whether they're not going to be worrying about being an individual so much anymore because, like, yeah, I need to be in this playlist because da-da-da-da-da-da, instead of working on their individual craft and then working out what from your sound fits into that playlist. Yeah. You know?
Imagine telling Nina Simone or Marvin Gaye, but you can't do that. You got to be on you know, top 25 playlists.
So now what we're finding is a repetitive nature of music, of people looking the same and sounding the same and so on and so on. But this is really because of all of those mechanics behind. So where music is going to be in years to come, God, I don't know, man. But we have still got, what's beautiful about it is that we do have still special new artists coming through and breaking that mold, like new people that are just coming through and just mad special. But unfortunately, sometimes they're not privy to that much exposure or whatever, but there are artists out there that are not the regular.
Thank you. Please come.
I think the gatekeepers are going to be in trouble soon. Whether it's, you know, the people that do the curation or the people that decide what is art. Technology is beginning to grow up. Blockchain technology is making things very interesting. You can have decentralized platforms, ways, there are new currencies coming for artists, singers. I saw a photographer who was pretty much unknown yesterday that was so talented do a drop for an NFT. He needed $300,000 in one drop because his work was that good. If that same photographer turned up to a New York gallery, London gallery, they would have laughed at him. He didn't go to the right schools. Come back in 5 years, you know, that world is dying. And I think a new, interesting world is going to come where there'll be a lot more self-governance for artists. You know, someone like Ghetts is always going to have a following. It's where that following is going to live and thrive. This I think is exciting. And technology is certainly going to help.
Thank you. It's interesting. Both your answers kind of were like the pros and cons and like double-edged sword of the internet. Like, yeah, it's interesting. I would love to, I mean, this is a question I actually wanted to know as well. Kelly Sutherland just asked who you guys looked up to growing up. Misan, I want to start with you, especially because your, you know, journey in photography, as seismic and incredible as it's been, is still relatively, you know, it's more recent. were there any photographers that you were looking up to? And if not, who were your kind of role models?
My role models were always in film, music, and the arts. So for me, people that made me feel something, you know, anyone listening, watch Nina Simone, Montreux Jazz Festival, 1976, if you want to know what a live performance is. She takes her soul out and cuts it into a million pieces and throws it at you. You know, watch Bill Withers in Kinshasa on the night of the Muhammad Ali-George Foreman fight, singing a song called Hope She'll Be Happier, which is one of these rare songs about a man loving a woman so much that although all he wants is her, he hopes she'll be happier with the man that she actually loves. The photography of Gordon Parks, Sally Mann, Eve Arnold. I had a tough childhood and the world seemed like a big place. And I found a comfort blanket in the notes of songs, in the pages of books. And that's always been what saved me. So that little boy has become the man that is sitting here today, and I want to democratize that. I don't want you to have gone to the fancy schools that I went to have the same sensory experience. You should have the opportunity, whether you're on a council estate, to listen to Fela Kuti, Maria Callas. You know what I mean? You should know the writings of Pablo Neruda, because all of those things will allow you to make decisions in life that I made. And that cannot just be for the 1%. So that's a little bit of what I'm dedicating myself to. Kelly?
Thanks so much. Ghetts, who and what inspired you growing up?
Oh, do you remember my first memories of actually feeling the word inspired and feeling like, why? This is crazy. I used to, I don't know if you remember, but they used to have the Jackson 5 story. It was called The American Dream. I had that on VHS. I used to run home and watch that every single day. But it was like, even then as a child, yeah, I never looked at Joe Jackson like he was like a bully, or I looked at him like you saw something that no one else could see and you knew how to get your kids there. And then I used to look at the work rate. Because remember, like, the work rate was serious. There's only kids, yeah, but I used to think, yeah, that's how you have to work if you want to make it. So I just remember, like, American Dream, watching that all the time, thinking, yeah, I want to do something like that. I don't know what it is, but I like the feeling, I like the stage. Do you know what moment was mad? Apollo, Billie Jean, Michael Jack, 1983, crazy, oh my days. Like, see those moments? What you have to understand for me, yeah, as a rapper, it's dead. No, because you got to understand. How do you have a moment like Billie Jean, Apollo, like when he first does the moonwalk? That's the first time anybody's seen that. In that moment, do you know what that equivalent? No one don't understand what that equivalent is because we've not seen it. Everything we're watching, we've seen. It doesn't matter if it's excellent or we've seen it. No one don't know what it's like to be sitting there and then to see someone do something with their body while singing. That's not meant to. You're not meant to be able to do that. Like, we've seen everything now. No one ain't come out and done nothing. So that inspired me. And then obviously the father of it all, James Brown. That's the goal.
Thank you so much.
And Tupac, sorry.
I'm glad you slipped that one in.
No, do you know why I Pac? Because it's just an obvious thing to say. You know, after 17 years, I've said Pac 1,000 times.
But just on Pac, he changed my life.
Yeah.
I was in a school full of people that were listening to Oasis, which is fine.
Oasis are kind of hard though, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Which is fine. And the Levelers and all sorts of things, that's a fine. But I heard Brenda's Baby. And let me tell you about Brenda's Baby. That song is about a 12-year-old girl getting molested by her own family member, having a baby and leaving it in a trash heap. That was street poetry like I've never heard before. Up until that point, like, rap and hip-hop was when, you know, you hit the club, you know, rump shaker, Rex, and, you move. This was me learning about social economics, about what the hood was in America. And that is Pac. So, that's different, man.
Thank you, guys. So, an anonymous has asked,
Uh-oh.
I think it kind of goes off on what you just said. How much should art reflect the stark reality of life versus something that should offer hope to a wider audience?
Ain't that down to the individual?
Mm-hmm. Preach.
That's more
Speak on
like
it.
you're asking a question that he can't answer you that question. That's down to the individual, how you feel, or what your contribution to the world is, what you feel like what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? How you feel. I don't know. That's your own experience. Like, he's him because he decided what he needs to do. His own thing. No one told him, go there, go and shoot that, put that there. No one told him that. He done all those things himself.
That's a nod of agreement, right?
And why are you anonymous? Who are you?
Because they were going to get that response, innit? Misan, this is from Jess H. We've got a name this time.
Okay.
And she said, can you tell us a little bit more about photographing the Sussexes? It's not easy to say. How did it come about? And will you meet Lilibet?
Oh, gosh.
I mean, that was gonna happen, wasn't it?
I really tend... I don't do a lot of answers about my dear friends, but what I will say is Megan is an old friend, and to see her lose a child, a lot of people forget that she had a miscarriage. And if you factor in all the mental health issues that she's had that has been recently well documented, for her to have new life is everything to me. And that's what her friends are celebrating. The joy of new life after such loss, the fortitude of their union is something that I'm glad to say that I play some small part in, you know. So to take that photograph remotely, obviously I was in the UK and they were in America, it was just really important for me for it to honestly represent the moment that they were, you know, living, you know, expecting a baby. The public have to know, of course, and that's how they found out. Will I meet Lilibet? I hope so. I truly hope so. But for now, let them enjoy themselves in those early days in peace.
Thank you so much. Guys, if you still have questions, we have a few minutes left, so remember to use the Q&A box on your screen.
Can Ghetts do the moonwalk?
Can you?
You see the way my ankles are set up now?
Oh, boy.
So we've got a question from Leroy Coley. This is an interesting question. It's for you, Ghetts. Is grime a legitimate form of discontent, or is it a threat to building a successful campaign for universal equality in the UK?
That is a wild question.
That's very, very...
That's a wild...
I know. That's
where did that come
one.
from?
It came from Leroy Coley.
Leroy,
Sorry, Leroy, to put you on blast.
Could you
like
ask
that,
that
but your
again,
name is
please?
there. So, is grime a legitimate form of discontent, or is it a threat to building a successful campaign for universal equality in the UK?
It's neither of those things.
I would say that.
I was going to say it's not my business.
A legitimate of discontent. Oh, because in the media, I know where he's got this. If you look at the media and they say it's a voice for kids going through, it is. So that's what he's done.
Do they even say that anymore?
Yeah, they don't say that no more. We're enjoying too much. You know what I'm saying? But no, it's neither. It's neither.
Thank you so much. Katie has asked, what are this goes to both of you, your favourite parts of London and parts of the United Kingdom that inspire you guys?
Favourite parts of London? Well, I'm going to be patriotic and say Newham.
I was waiting for it. I was like,
I'm obviously going to say Newham, you know. I actually know London, the whole of London, super well. I could do the knowledge. I actually love London, you know. Like, you know, like when I'm away, I want to come home. I love it here. I love the speed of London. That's why I like New York, because it feels like a faster London when you go there. Yeah. But yeah, Newham. Newham.
This is so random. When you come up from Kilburn High Road and you're heading, it's getting more expensive, and you're heading, you're at Swiss Cottage, not quite St John's Wood.
Yeah.
There's a roundabout there. And when I was in my early teens, I used to sleep if it was a long summer day. I had mates that lived down the road. I love willow trees. So I'm one of these crazy people that believes that dogs, horses and trees know us better than we know ourselves.
Yeah, facts.
Particularly...
You ain't crazy, though. Let me stop you.
Thank you. Thank you. Particularly trees. They've been watching us be idiots for a long time.
The trees thing is mad, bro. I was speaking to trees the other day, cause...
And they'll listen. What did they say? Sorry. I'm just interested in the conversation that was, you know, what's the conversation?
Don't worry.
Oh, we can talk about it afterwards. Tell me about your willow tree.
It's just a willow tree between Kilburn and Swiss Cottage, and it's still there today, and you can go sleep there for half an hour under that tree. You will feel like you've had Regeneron, that thing they plugged Donald Trump with. You'll feel alive. So yeah, it's a willow tree on the corner of Fairfax Road, Swiss Cottage.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the specificity as well. Do you ever I mean, you've touched on imposter syndrome. Do you ever feel with dealing... Oh, sorry, Kyra's asked again. I think it's the same Kyra from before. Do you ever deal with feeling not enough, and how do you keep challenging yourself? Let's throw that to you, Ghetts. You can start.
I feel like I'm not enough. Yeah, that's not my own feelings, though. That's not me. That's not my higher self. So when that feeling comes, yeah, I know what that is. That is the thing that's trying to just stall where I need to go and get to, and what my capabilities are. So we just end up arguing when I hear that voice.
And then the higher self comes out on
top.
I'm
like, I got this, man.
Yeah.
I got this pattern.
And how do you keep continuing to challenge yourself, especially with both of you? You've like already done a lot, and it could be very easy to rest on your laurels and be like, we've done it. So how do you keep?
Because when you enjoy what you do, it's more than the accolades and money. You just enjoy what you do, and then it just so happens that you're getting better at what you do because you're enjoying it so much. And then so these things are actually coming in now, the money and accolades, and everyone else judges it by the money and accolades and that, but then you just judge it by the music. Like, you understand? Like, it's mostly the outside world, like, that judge everything else by... Sometimes we just want an accolade because everyone else rates it. Like, my mum's going to be proud of me because I won that. I know, like, she's going to tell everyone. Sometimes you, as the artist, yeah, you're just cool. Like, this sounds hard. I'm in the car like, yo, I'm my biggest fan. I'm rocking with this. But I know there's other people that they want to see you win so bad sometimes that those things remind them that, yeah, man, that I'm supporting, you know what I'm saying? It's good.
Misan?
You know, have you seen the trousers Bill Gates wears? Have you seen the jacket Warren Buffett wears? Looks like some Marks and Spencers. Yet you see a boy who's made a little bit of money. Everything. So I think wisdom comes with time. And, you know, with the wisdom Ghetts has through his life, through the peaks and troughs of his life, and I have with my life, above and beyond any money or fame or anything else, I feel it's our responsibility to share some of what we've learned. Because people, whether we like it or not, people look to us. And if what we do can enter someone's consciousness so they can make better choices in life, then that's a bigger thing than any accolade, any Emmy, any Grammy, any Mobo, any photo award that I could win. And I think, you know, there's something about you, Ghetts, that is there's a lot of strength in you, but there's also humility laced with vulnerability. And I look at you, I see it. And when I took a photograph, I really saw it.
Yeah.
And you know, I know we're supposed to be kind of giving normal answers, but for that boy with those headphones on, or that girl listening to your music, they're interpreting it how they want to.
Yeah,
but you've given them the weaponry to make choices, and that's a unique gift of music. You know, and if that isn't poetic in itself, I don't know what is. So that's the calling. We just need to keep doing the work.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, guys. What a perfect note to end on. You guys have been incredible. I hope everyone feels as inspired as I do.
We should start a church, man.
Listen.
Nah, do you know what bro, I'm just going to say I got a link you, bro. I got a link you. Cause you're on some... Yeah.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. I hope you've enjoyed it. Yeah, cheers.